Midway through piling logs by the cabin's northern edge, a sound scraped at the front entrance, definitely not wind. Nothing like snapping wood. I turned, saw it instantly, the blurred shape beyond the frozen window, outlined in stormlight. Huge, shaking violently, hot breath smearing thick clouds across the cold glass. Her head rose slowly. Those golden eyes found me through cracks of ice, and right there, inside that stare, floated an unbelievable thing. No growl, no danger, just a raw cry, almost human, asking for rescue. Fleeing old ghosts, Elias Bacote found shelter where the peaks scraped the sky. Hidden among pines, he traded noise for silence, one breath at a time. Out there in the north woods, errors stick around like frost on stone, so do I hold them. Back when it started, 5 winters past, my name meant something among animals, my hands never shook. One choice changed that. Pride whispered. I listened. What followed? A family of wolves, gone because I missed the poison left where they'd eat. My fault? Not theirs. 3 days. 7 wolves gone. After that, seeing any creature made my chest tight. Trusting myself with a living thing felt impossible. Here I stayed, tucked into a small cabin hanging over empty space, where just the wind talks back alongside the quiet echo of what I'd done. Last time I helped a creature was ages ago. Fear held me back. Still, I tried anyway. There she lay, that wolf by my doorstep, breath heavy, body stretched tight with unborn pups. Staring down, something cold stirred in me, ancient, unwelcome, a pulse I'd buried long before. Not now. Not like this. My hands clamped harder on the rifle. Reason shouting inward, stay put. Leave things be, walk away. Yet something else pulled. A whimper came from the wolf, thin, broken, almost like a person pleading, and without thinking, my fingers found the door handle. Then everything went still. Wind howled the moment I opened the door. Snow stung my face without warning. Cold didn't just chill, it moved, scraping against bare skin like something awake. On the porch lay a shape, broken, half buried in white, more shadow than form. She ought to have attacked. Instead, she lifted her eyes. Her breathing came uneven, sharp between silence. Then slowly, painfully, her head dipped down. It was just then that the thing came into view. A pale mark curves like a moon along her snout. Further grows light, set apart by its shape. It cuts a slow arc where shadows gather near her nose. My heart stopped. This wolf I had met before. A chunk of metal came out of a baby wolf's cheek 5 winters past, after stones tumbled down near her den during the failed move north. Since she couldn't fend for herself yet, milk from a jar kept her alive, till we sent her off to whatever remained of her pack. The name Shadow stuck, given how she trailed behind me through the clinic flaps without making a sound. Far off, then suddenly there she stood again. Not by chance did she find my cabin. Purpose guided her steps, not luck. She had remembered. Beside that one night, she showed up at my door. Nowhere left mid-turning here. The weapon slipped from my hands. Okay, I said softly, my words breaking in the cold. Fine then, come here now. Let's go, move slow. Without a sound, she limped inside, wounded, trembling, barely able to stand as I held the doorway. The cold air followed behind her, while blood dripped along the floorboards. Then down she went, falling like snow on the worn rug near flames that flickered low. Those golden brown eyes stayed locked on me. One blink would have broken it, but she didn't look away. She trusted me. Might need a miracle for the two of us. Each new update pops up when you hit subscribe. Drop a note with your location saying hello means I get to trace how wide this path really stretches. The wind screamed outside when I kicked the door closed, then sank to the floor near Shadow. My fingers started working fast, motions coming back like an old habit I believed had vanished. Seeing her up close hit harder than expected. Thick patches of black coat stuck together with frozen slush, every inhale shaky, rough, echoing deep inside her ribs. Yet what locked my throat wasn't the cold or the blood, it was her middle, puffed and wrong, skin pulled thin enough to reveal little bodies shifting under the surface. Footsteps slowed as I whispered, "Hold on now." My hand rested low on her stomach, soft at first. Then came a sharp movement beneath my fingers, sudden, fierce. "Breathe," I thought more than said. "I'm right here." Out of nowhere, those golden brown eyes followed me, slow, sharp, like they knew too much. When my hand landed on her fur, she stayed quiet, not one snarl, not even a flinch. Just stillness, heavy breaths dragging through her chest, muscles shaking not only from being worn out, but from something deeper, hurt. Beneath the flicker of fading flames, I yanked the worn wool throw off my seat. Beside the embers, it landed with a soft thud. With slow hands, each movement deliberate, I slipped my arms under Shadow's heavy body. Up she came, despite the weight that should have anchored me. 120 pounds, maybe more, yet my pulse carried her like smoke. Down onto the fabric, gently placed. Instantly, muscles twitching, she fought to rise again. Her limbs wobbled, gave way, folded like wet paper. "No, no, stay down," I said, pressing gently on her shoulder. "You're safe now. Stay down." That noise scraped across my thoughts like a match struck too hard. Her head sank into the fabric, slow and heavy, as though gravity had pulled at her for ages. I shut just a breath, but it looked like relief after miles walked barefoot. It was then my eyes finally settled on her features. A mark like a pale moon on dark skin, her face held that cut forever. My fingers made those stitches once, calm back when guilt hadn't taken root. 8 weeks? Maybe less. A pile of broken stone found her when we moved them out. That fall took the mother first, left the pup barely breathing. I yanked rock from flesh as she shrieked, twisted wild under my grip. After 2 full weeks passing milk through rubber, while others vanished up steep trails. Out of habit, I named her Shadow. She trailed behind without sound, like something barely there, always staring with those golden eyes. Now they look at me again, asking things words never could, pulling memories through time built on wrong turns and silence between us. "You remember me," I whispered, and my voice cracked. "Don't you, girl? You remember." Her eyelids lifted, then fixed on my face somehow. Deep down, she got it all. Out of nowhere, she jerked violently, muscles locking midair. Her legs snapped straight like pulled wires. From somewhere deep, a raw sound crawled up, half cry, half growl, and ripped free without warning. Up fast, I ripped the cabinet door wide, the one hiding my ancient Vegear, stuffy and past its prime yet untouched. 5 years since last I laid hands on that box. Didn't even want to now. Cold metal tools staring back, sharp stink of cleaning fluid hitting hard. Suddenly everything I'd buried under booze and quiet came clawing out again. Yet guilt meant nothing to Shadow. Still, he moved without concern for how I felt. Shaking fingers ripped through wrapping gloves first, then thread like stitches, claws stiff with that stale plastic scent. Into my palm went the slick tube, cold metal of clamps, blade sharp enough to make breath catch. Behind, flames snapped at logs, stretching dark shapes along wooden planks, which pulled me sideways in time to canvas walls, dying beasts, pupils wide with blame I still carry. Not here. Then. "This round is different," I said under my breath while pulling the gloves tight. "Not again. Not now." Now the spasms gripped Shadow quicker, every surge tightening her frame. Behind her, I took my place, fingers probing soft but sure. The truth beneath my touch turned my insides to ice. A single paw showed, the first puppy arriving tail first, its body caught halfway. Without quick help, Shadow might lose strength before finishing. Most likely that little one had stopped moving by then. "Okay," I breathed, forcing calm into my voice even though my heart was hammering. "Okay, Shadow. I need you to trust me. This is going to hurt. A quiet tension filled the room as I slid the forceps deeper, searching slowly for the second leg. A low growl rose from Shadow, shaking her frame like wine through a fence. Stillness held her muscles, no lunge, no snap. The sound lingered, raw and steady, while she stayed locked in place. A shape pressed against my fingertips, the lower limb now caught between the steel jaws of the instrument. From there, each tug followed her body's rhythm, matching squeeze for push. Stuck deep, the puppy sat crooked inside, a wrong tilt risking everything if the next move slipped. One breath at a time, pressure held just enough to guide without tearing. "Come on!" I whispered. "Come on! Come on!" A sudden yank, matched just right with Shadow's heave, sent the puppy slipping out amid wetness streaked with red. The small body lay still, pale, unresponsive, jaws parted like it forgot how to close. No! A towel was already in hand when I started rubbing the puppy, fast wiping mucus, trying to wake its breath. Still nothing moved. Pushing deeper with my palms, fingers trembling over fur, I kept going. "Breathe!" I commanded. "Breathe, damn it!" The pup coughed. Then it gasped. Ah, there it went, this small cry, full of protest, softer than anything else around here had been since forever. The noise hung in the air like dust catching light. Almost cried, but softer. Placed the puppy by Shadow's nose, she touched it. First one lick, then another, slow like stone on wood, until something inside her pulled tight again, and her eyes went glassy with work only bodies know. Out came the next puppy, smooth and fast, just 3 heaves, and it was free. Already squirming the moment it landed, squeaking like something unfairly disturbed. Tal wiped it down in seconds, then tucked it close to the first. One breath apart, 2 tiny bodies twitching. It was the third little one who needed more time. Darkness in her movements grew deeper, pauses between squeezes longer, air slipping softly through parted lips. Each moment stole more sparkle from her gaze, yet she drove forward anyway, muscles straining against exhaustion. My fingers ached, spine tightening like twisted rope, while we moved together in that fragile rhythm. Then, after silence held its breath, a tiny body arrived, slighter than its siblings but warm, lungs fluttering open, insisting on life. 3 pups. All alive. All perfect. I stayed crouched low, fingers unsteady, claws stuck to skin damp from heat and red streaks. She rested sideways, air pulling uneven yet constant through her mouth, lids drooping like weighted curtains. Nearby, small bodies twisted, driven without thought toward comfort, toward feed, toward the one who bore them. "You did it," I told her, my voice thick. "Shadow, you did it. They're beautiful." She didn't move like I thought she would. Instead of drawing them near, holding tight like most mothers do, it was silence. The kind that sits heavy. Not a sound came out. Head rising, Shadow gazed toward the door. Just looked. Beneath a sudden rush of weight, my gut sank without warning. "No," I said quietly. "Shadow, no. You need to rest. You need to." Yet she started forward without pause. Fresh blood fell to the blanket as Shadow stood unsteady, rising on shaky limbs. Toward her they crept, those small ones crying, drawn by a need deeper than sound. Her warmth called them, though she barely held herself upright. Not once did her eyes land on them. Halfway to the exit, she swayed like a tree in wind yet kept going. Her babies lay behind her, ignored, while her body leaned toward the frame of the door. At that moment, she twisted around just once and faced me. What I saw in her gaze wasn't wild, wasn't distant, it felt closer than speech. "Help me." "Shadow, you can't go back out there," I said, standing slowly, my voice careful, like I was talking to a spooked horse. "You just gave birth. You're bleeding. You'll die in that storm." Out came her paw, tapping the door, each claw dragged across the wood, carving thin lines into its surface. That noise followed, sharp, aching, the one I couldn't ignore, the very sound that pulled me to unlock it before, eyes turning my way once more. Please. I took a step toward her, hands raised. Your pups need you. They need to nurse, they need. A sudden tug at my arm threw me sideways. Shadow had locked onto the fabric of my sleeve. Off kilter, I wavered, caught unaware. She let go fast, yet what she meant settled deep. Balance returned slowly. She wasn't asking. She was demanding. What are you doing? I asked, my voice rising. Shadow, what? Her claws scraped at the wood once more, sharper now. Then came the tug on my pants, her teeth close enough to feel through the fabric. Motionless, I stayed put until she let go and shoved her snout into the doorway. A thin cry poured out without pause, ragged and raw, tightening something deep behind my ribs. It hit me right then. It was never about leaving them behind. It rested on my shoulders, her faith in keeping them safe. Out in the dark, past the wind and rain, a presence waited. It pulled at her, quiet but certain. Not words, just feeling. Her steps slowed. The air shifted. Whatever was out there depended on her now. Those small pups twisted on the fabric, whimpering under breaths too weak to carry far. My gaze drifted sideways, catching shadows swaying upright, exhaustion carved deep, yet legs locked tight against collapse. She pushed forward when snow bit skin, driven by memory of a hand once kind. One that meant safety. Hers had led her here, miles through storm, heavy with unborn. Whatever waited beyond must have been worth more than breath itself. She would not walk away from those tiny cries unless something pulled harder than blood. Fine then, I muttered. Faster now, piling on wood till flames cracked loud. Blankets twisted into walls beside the little ones, so they could not wander off cold. Hours would pass like that. Longer perhaps, should things hold. That old sheepskin-lined coat went on slow, its weight familiar. Into the pockets, matches first, then a knife, a flare gun, dried meat I would likely leave untouched. Shaking fingers fumbled, though the air wasn't freezing. It wasn't the temperature. This move felt reckless, maybe fatal for me, maybe for him too. Footsteps quiet, yet she stood by the doorway, shadow, her gaze steady, those gold-flecked eyes holding mine like an unspoken promise I'd failed long before. Fingers closed around the rifle resting high on the wall, just past where the fireplace stone ends. The weight told me it held bullets. Then came air in my lungs thick with old fire ash, sharp with things undone. All right, I said quietly. All right, girl. Show me. The latch clicked loose under my hand. Inside, the air sat still. A sudden gust slammed into me, sharp and unrelenting, as icy flakes slashed across my skin without warning. From where I stood, everything past the step vanished, just thick swirling whiteness closing in, sight barely reaching a few paces ahead. Each inhale felt raw, painful even, since the air froze deep inside before it could settle. The frost clung hard, relentless, turning every movement into something stiff and slow. Footsteps thudded softly as Shadow pushed ahead, dragging one leg past the porch rails and under the heavy snowfall. Her dark coat blended fast with the blizzard's haze. Near the tree line she stopped, turning my way, still. Up went the hood, then the scarf snugged against my skin. After that I walked behind her straight into the icy air. Each step fought against a wind that shoved like it had weight. Cold snow slipped inside my boots, crept past gloves, wormed through seams clinging sharp, mean. Ahead, only a blur marked where Shadow moved, swallowed by the storm's breath. Yet I stayed fixed on that shadowy form and dragged myself onward. Fast. Faster than any newborn mother should manage, especially one drenched in afterbirth and weakness. A wolf ought to collapse under that weight, yet her legs kept driving forward. Not once did she pause, though every step must have torn something deep inside. Snow cracked beneath her paws as she carved a path, breath ragged, eyes flicking behind, checking on me. Still moving. Still leading. Last thing I knew, hours had slipped by. Time might stretch like ice. Maybe it was 10 minutes. Perhaps 60 passed slow and heavy. Frost took my face first, then crept into fingers down to toes. Each breath cut deep, fire in the chest. Frost clung to my beard, stiffened each eyelash. Across my shoulders, the gun lay heavy cold metal pressing down. Even though Shadow didn't stop, I stayed on the move too. Footsteps faded behind us as we moved deeper, the ground dipping suddenly into a narrow cut I had never seen before. High ridges closed in from both sides, blocking most of the wind yet swallowing what little light remained. Her dark coat blended completely with the night, leaving only movement where she should be. Listening took over each brittle snap under her feet, every uneven pull of air through her throat guiding me forward. Almost bumped right into her stop just in time. There she was, stiff as a post, ears pointed like arrows toward the dark. Something out there held her gaze tight. Wind snatched the question midair, leaving only a whisper behind. "What is it?" came out half buried in wool, syllables tangled in fabric. The name slid free before I could catch it. "Shadow!" Just above a breath and silence again. That was when my eyes caught it. Something waits beneath the frozen ground. Black as coal. Huge beyond measure. Not moving. A cold rush hit my ribs. Inside my coat, I reached slow for the light, hands stiff and clumsy. The switch clicked after a few tries. Light spilled ahead. What showed up there took every bit of breath right out. Massive 150 pounds at least, possibly heavier. Ice coated his silver-gray coat, making it shine pale under the light. Scars ran across his face and back, visible even from far away. Leader of a pack. Known violence in every movement. Lived through too much to count. Foot caught on uneven ground. Shadow moving slow at my side, then the snare came into view. Jaws of rusted steel, slick with dried blood and fresh, held tight around the wolf's back leg, just under the foot. Deep cuts from metal teeth tore fur and flesh, possibly reaching bone beneath. From the trap, a chain ran straight to a spike buried in hard, icy earth. Wolves caught here never stood a chance. This trap meant pain, every second ticking by. Built only to last till the hunter returned. Not just harsh, built that way on purpose. "Jesus!" I whispered, sinking down next to him on one knee. A hush fell when the alpha raised his muzzle, a low snarl rolling out like thunder under snow. From his throat came that sound, heavy and unbroken, cutting the cold stillness. Bared fangs caught the dim light, sharp enough to splinter stone without effort. His gaze held me there, two pale flames in a face gone rigid with intent. Not anger alone, but something older, fixed, aimed straight at my chest. Out of nowhere, Shadow stepped close, touching her nose to his muzzle while a quiet chuff rose from her throat. She shifted just slightly, breaking the space between them with warmth and breath instead of words. Sound vanished where the leader once moved. That look he gave her carried a message meant only for them, one I sensed deep down even if I did not get it. His attention turned to me again, cautious now instead of cold with hate. My hands came out of the gloves fast, then sharp air stung. Still, I had to do it bare. Touch mattered here more than warmth. "Easy, big guy," I murmured, reaching slowly for the trap. "I'm here to help. I'm going to get you out." Under my boot, the trap sat quiet, its teeth locked shut by frost and dried rust. Using two hands, I tugged the release bar. Ice held it fast, unmoving. The metal groaned once, then nothing. A low sound came from the alpha, quieter now, filled with hurt instead of warning. "I know," I told him. "I know it hurts. Just give me a minute." Heaving with everything I had, arms burning like fire. Not quite stuck anymore, the metal groaned forward, barely a breath of movement yet moving. A noise came from the back just then, sudden, sharp. It froze everything inside. My breath stopped. Cold ran through without warning. Yipping. Footsteps too close. Then silence. Something had caught what couldn't get away. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of figures pale, wavering stepping forward from the black. My fingers crept toward the flare gun tucked deep in my coat. Slowly, too slowly, I pivoted on one heel. Shapes without sound came drifting into view. 6 at minimum, perhaps several beyond that, their eyes flashing green when my light hit. Noise of fighting reached them, the scent of blood carried on wind, so they arrived to see. An hurt wolf meant food. A person foolish enough to wander during snowstorm? Just extra luck found. Fine, keep your hands off, I whispered, drawing the flare pistol. Tonight means nothing changes, just stay away. A lone coyote moved forward, cautious. This one had fur matted on its left side, missing part of an ear. He paused just before the tree line, watching. The air held still as he shifted weight between paws. The flare shot upward after I pulled the trigger on the old pistol-like device. Upward flew the bullet, howling, until it burst with a flash of red, a river of dark shapes now dancing under bloody glow. Coyotes bolted, voices sharp with panic, yet their retreat stalled quick. Along the rim they gathered, restless, drawn by what came next. They were hungry. They waited without rushing. Foot by foot, the cold seeped through fur and flesh, yet shadows stood unmoving. Between the pack and their leader she held ground, breath ragged, muscles shaking. Not a sound came from her except the low growl building deep in her chest. Blood painted streaks down her leg, melting tiny paths in the white below. Stillness took root in her posture, even as strength drained away. Her eyes stayed locked ahead, no blink, no retreat. Back at the trap, my hands gripped tight, fear burning through every muscle. One slow pull cracked the lever forward. Then again, a breath held between shifts. A shriek of icebound steel split the air just before it snapped open. A sharp cry tore loose as he wrenched the ruined leg away. Up fast, then down again. When the limb buckled, fibers shot through with ruin. One leg lifted, then another. He moved like someone who'd heard me. A wolf, yes, yet his gaze locked onto mine as if words weren't needed. The question hung there, could he walk? He didn't speak, of course. Still, something passed between us, quiet, solid. One leg stayed off the ground while he tested his balance on the others. Moving was possible now, just slow. Distance? Out of reach. Speed? Impossible. A shadow moved, then another. The animals slowed their steps when the light began to die. It was then my eye caught something shifting near the alpha's stomach. A pair of compact forms, squeezed close to him, shaking. His frame held the near without space between. Far from infants, now closer to half a year old, perhaps even 6. These young ones stood trembling, breath quick in their throats. Wide eyes stared out, filled with fright, limbs quivering under thin skin. Cold had settled deep, mixing with panic in every shallow heartbeat. Frost clung to their fur, while heat slipped from his body into theirs. Frozen ground bit into his side, yet he twisted himself tight about them. The snare snapped shut, bone gave way, still he shielded their small forms. Cold seeped through his coat, but warmth stayed locked in the curve of his spine. Trapped, breaking, breath in his arms held fast. Pain flared with each heartbeat. Even so, he did not let go. My breath caught. "Oh God!" came out quiet. A hush filled the air after. Out of nowhere, Shadow let out a soft cry, eyes jumping between me, her partner, and the little ones. Everything snapped into place right then. Not every life could be pulled from danger, so she made a choice. Saving her mate came first, along with the bigger pups, while counting on me for the smallest. That glance held it all: trust, loss, and what survival demands. She'd made an impossible choice. Here came my moment. A bright flare lit up the sky, giving us a little more time. With one hand on the alpha's thick neck fur, I yanked forward. "Come on, big guy! We're going home!" Limping ahead, he moved slow, the young ones tight beside him, warm weight leaning in like they needed him just as much. Ahead of them all, shadow carved a path, dark shape dipping now, and then through snow-covered ground. Behind them I moved, fingers pressed to the alpha's spine, gripped tight on the rifle's stock. Shouts ripped from my throat, sharp and raw, each word a barrier against the coyote's advance. Fear trembled in my chest, thin as paper, yet still it held. Threats tumbled out, clumsy but loud, stitching space between us and their yellow eyes. My breath came hard, uneven, fueling noise more than strength. Far from smooth, returning took every ounce of patience. Back home stretched each minute like taffy pulled too thin. A howl ripped through the air as the storm grew wilder, snow blurring everything until shadow became just a shadow. Heavy beyond belief, the alpha dragged forward, his legs buckling now and then, almost yanking me off my feet. Behind us, the young ones whimpered, crowding near, trembling hard enough to rattle bones. Not far back, the coyotes kept coming, their sounds low but clear, always near enough to make the air tense. They stayed hidden, moving only when we moved, patient in a way that felt heavier than silence. Every step forward meant they took one too, close without touching. The space between us was thin, stretched by breath and fear. Nothing showed except shadows, yet I knew they waited ready if someone slowed. Burning shot through my legs. Each breath cut sharp, as if my chest held shards instead of air. Cold slipped beyond agony now into a slow crawl beneath the skin, the kind that warned of damage deeper than feeling. Footsteps behind me never slowed. So I didn't either. Out of nowhere, just as my legs threatened to buckle beneath me, a flicker caught my eye. The snow whispered against my boots while exhaustion pulled hard. Then between the dark trunks an amber shimmer pulsed, quiet but clear. Cold air stung my lungs, yet something warm stirred inside. That light, small as it was, held firm beyond the branches. That blaze I had stacked with for earlier, burning now without me there. Closed now, I panted, really just thinking out loud. Not far off. Out on the porch, shadow dropped down, too tired to move another inch. Limping behind, the old leader followed slow, the young ones clinging close. Then came the creak of hinges, the door swung wide, and heat spilled forward, wrapping everything in quiet warmth. Frozen breath curled from their tiny muzzles, yet warmth held them close near the flames. Whimpers rose in shaky waves, each sound threading through the quiet room. A scrap of wool tucked round their bodies kept the chill just at bay. One twitched a paw, then settled again into the pile of siblings. Firelight flickered over damp fur, glowing soft on closed eyes. Inside, I got the alpha down by the fire just as he fell, gasping. Pups pressed close without waiting, drawn to what little heat remained. Then Shadow, barely making it through, pulled herself over the edge. The door crashed shut after her, cutting wind, snow yelps midair. A silence hung there. Not even a breath broke it. There we stayed, a person alongside wild dogs, air moving in and out, hearts beating. The night held us without words. From nowhere, a quiet shift began as Shadow crept forward, inch by inch, toward the whimpering sound of her newborns. Closed now, she dropped down near them, breath uneven. Without delay, the tiny bodies squirmed into place, mouths finding warmth, tails twitching like sparks in the dark. Out of the corner of my sight, the alpha stared, his pale yellow eyes fixed on her. Pain still pulled at his face, yet something like ease slipped into his gaze. Curiosity brought the young ones close as they leaned in, noses brushing against the tiny newcomers. Sniffing lightly, their eyes stayed fixed on the fresh arrivals. There I stayed, slumped in the seat, trembling, spent from too much rush and too little rest, as a family came together again before me. Fires flickered between us, casting long shapes on the walls, then her gaze met mine, steady, golden, calm. What she'd risked settled slowly into my thoughts, heavy like breath after cold water. 5 years gone, yet here she stood, choosing me again without words, handing over something fragile just by staying still. Trust wasn't shouted. It arrived quiet, in glances that didn't waver. 5 years passed while I wandered these peaks, haunted by faces I failed to keep alive. Last night, 6 were still alive because of me. 7 perhaps, though that includes me in the tally. Back I rested my head, into the chair, eyes shut now. Fire snapped nearby, while tiny grunts rose from pups feeding low. Breathing came slow from wolves at rest. Last year's quiet felt different. Not heavy with blame, just empty space where noise used to live. A quiet hum filled the air instead of chaos. Frozen breath curled through the air when my eyes opened. A soft cry crept in from somewhere near the door. Something stirred inside me before I knew what it was. A deep throb ran through muscles long ignored, while each finger curled stiff, as though bent by force after being struck one too many times. Suddenly, pieces clicked into place, the sharp edges of memory cutting through fog, and light returned to my sight, just enough to see the chair holding me up, weak flames whispering below, shadows stretching across the ground where wolf bodies lay scattered like dropped coats. Closest to the fire sat the alpha, one leg stretched forward, wounds covered in dark, hardened blood. Light from morning crept across icy glass, showing me every torn ridge and shadowed gash. That snare bit hard, maybe tore something vital beneath. A step might never be right again, assuming rot didn't claim it first. If sickness hadn't claimed him first. A small shape shifted near the wall, drawn tight around 3 tiny pups suckling in quiet rhythm, their flickering tails catching every breath. When I moved, she lifted her head, eyes worn yet sharp, golden like old honey locking onto mine as I rose slow from the seat. The air held still between us. Frozen with resistance, each muscle ached sharply. One of the young ones was a boy, the other a girl. I noticed that once the light improved, both tucked tight beside the big wolf's stomach, exactly where he had shielded them from the cold inside the snare. They stared at me, their yellow eyes sharp with caution, while their ears turned like small radar dishes, catching each noise I caused. Foot by foot, I crept ahead, making sure each motion stayed smooth. Startling them now would undo every step we'd taken. It was morning. My throat still ached from yelling into the wind. The words came out rough. "Take a look at your leg now," I suggested. His gaze stayed on me while I picked up the medical bag. As I moved closer, a low sound came from his chest, more alert than angry. It wasn't threat, exactly. Just care, edged with memory. Trust had limits even now. Up went Shadow's head, a quiet huff slipping out like back in the steep-sided cut. His rumble faded fast, though his stare stayed locked on me. "I know," I told him, kneeling slowly beside his injured leg. "I'm not thrilled about this either. But if we don't clean this wound, you're going to lose more than just your freedom to walk." Working with wild creatures had taught me what danger felt like. A single misstep meant teeth sinking into my neck faster than a breath. Still, I remembered how he guarded the young ones, his gaze meeting Shadow's in a moment deeper than mere survival. Out came the supplies, bottles of warm water, a bottle of antiseptic, fresh towels stacked nearby. Up close, it looked uglier than expected. Metal jaws from the trap tore deep, cutting past muscle until they grazed bone, ripping edges that oozed thin liquid. Tissue lay bare under the light, tendons showing like pale cords beneath. "It's gonna sting," I said before starting the wipe. Then came the scrub. Stillness gripped the alpha, his huge frame locking tight, yet motionless. Not a twitch, not a growl escaped him. Just quiet suffering, breath sharp and measured, as my hands moved fast, careful across his skin. Her gaze stayed fixed throughout, flicking from his face to my finger, Shadow tense, prepared to step in should I go too far. I didn't. Finding the injury cleaned out as best as possible, I filled it with antibiotic cream before covering everything under a layer of gauze tape held it tight across my skin. Ugly? Sure. But it stayed put. At least until things changed. "You need antibiotics," I told the alpha, sitting back on my heels. Real ones, not the expired livestock pills I've got in that cabinet. Which means I need to make a trip to town. My gut tightened at the idea. Nearly half a year since I had set foot in Coldwater Ridge. Staying away felt easier, avoiding stares, hushed voices, reminders of an older self. Still, the leader was sick. Medicine mattered more than how I felt about going back. Foot by foot I rose, joints cracking, then stepped toward the glass. Sometime after midnight the tempest quit, dropping thick white silence over everything. Over the peaks now came light, painting what looked like a picture meant to charm the one to step outside would mean trouble. There by the edge of the woods I spotted them. Coyotes. A few figures there, parked in the snow, their stares locked on my cabin calm, waiting, wanting. Stillness hung heavy, but their gaze carried appetite. Each one motionless, yet sharp with purpose. Footsteps echoed behind us all the way back. Someone kept pace just out of sight. Stubborn fools, I said under my breath. That teenage male, the bigger one, saw them at the same moment. Up he got, heading toward the glass, fur along his back lifting as a low rumble started deep inside him. Easy, I said. They can't get in. Still, the real issue remained untouched. Heading into town was something I had to do, meaning the wolves would be left by themselves most of the day. Coyotes wouldn't rush it. Instead, they'd circle close, checking every entrance, sniffing at glass and wood alike. One weak spot, that's all it would take. Stopping was impossible. Still too soon. Not ready to go. That morning, I tightened every loose thing within reach. The east window's shattered shutter got nailed shut at last month's overdue. Heavy loads of firewood came inside, piled so tall beside the fireplace it nearly touched the mantel. Bowls filled with water sat outside, along with the final strips of dried deer meat. Young ones crept close, then drank and ate fast, as if hunger had chased them for too long. They probably hadn't. Her gaze followed each move I made, sharp yet softening as minutes passed. Not until then did her muscles begin to ease, just slightly. The way she let me near the tiny ones, near him, even the lively youngsters had settled deep in my ribs, that kind of faith. More real than regret ever weighed. 12:30 struck, then came the moment I had to face it. I have to go, I told Shadow, pulling on my heavy coat, checking my rifle. I'll be back before dark. Keep them inside, keep them warm. Her eyes met mine, maybe a flicker of agreement there. Could have been nothing, yet it felt like permission. Footsteps sank into white powder. As a yelp split the air, shadows darted between trunks, gone in seconds. Their return felt certain. For this moment, though, silence opened like a held breath. Frozen ruts chewed at the tires, hour after slow hour dragging us toward Coldwater Ridge. That dented pickup slid sideways more than once, snow piled high where machines never came. Buildings huddled low up ahead, just a few stuck near one road running straight through. Smoke curled from rooftops into the dull air above. A red open glow blinked crooked beside the shop door, light stuttering under clouds. Outside the vet's office, my truck stayed still as I lingered behind the wheel. A quiet stretch of seconds passed while I braced myself inside. A soft ring came from the doorbell as I stepped inside. From behind her desk, Doc lifted her eyes off the screen. Her lined face lit up slow. That warm grin hit me hard. Suddenly my silence felt heavier than ever. "Elias Bacote," she said, standing. "Thought maybe you'd frozen to death up there." "Still not." I got out. A paw stretched out while she watched, eyes tracing every sign of where frost-nipped skin, tired shoulders, how I held myself off balance. Hell is what came to mind when she finally spoke. "Feel worse." I pulled off my gloves, my hands still shaking slightly. "I need antibiotics. Broad spectrum. Enough for a large animal, maybe 150 pounds. Her eyebrows went up. "You get yourself a dog?" "Something like that." 40 years of mending animals in the high country shaped Doc Mercer's routine. Everything passed through her hands eventually. Nothing surprised her much anymore. Questions came only if they needed answers. Her stare just now cut straight past words, right into what people tried to hide. "This about those poachers the rangers have been trying to catch?" she asked quietly. "The ones running trap lines in the national forest?" Up went my head. "Huh?" "Found 3 dead wolves last month. Caught in illegal traps, left to die." Her jaw tightened. "Rangers think it's the same crew that was working this area 5 years ago, before they supposedly got shut down." 5 years ago. The group who spread the toxic bait wiping out Shadow's first pack. That very team slipped past me, unchallenged, my attention locked elsewhere, tangled in moving operations, blind to what was unfolding. They were back. Then came the moment they had him, the one who led them all. "The antibiotics," I said, my voice tight. "I need them now." Doc didn't ask any more questions. She disappeared into the back and returned with a bottle of pills and a syringe kit. "Cephalexin. Inject 1 cc per 20 pounds, twice daily for 10 days. If there's no improvement in 48 hours, the infection's too far gone." My hand moved toward the wallet when she shook her head, stopping me without a word. "Consider it a professional courtesy," she said. "Between 2 vets who actually give a damn." This woman stood before me, still teaching, always reaching out. So why did I taste bitterness behind my teeth? "Doctor, You had a setback, Elias. We all do." She handed me the medicine, her eyes kind but firm. "What matters is what you do next." Back at the wheel, her voice still ringing behind my thoughts, the medicine tucked inside my coat, resolve tightening like a knot deep in my limbs. Next came down to my actions. What followed depended on me. Home again, the coyotes stood still between the trees, like dark shapes made of smoke. A gunshot cracked upward sudden and off they dashed. Still, their coming back felt certain. Every time, without fail, they came. When I stepped inside, the wolves stayed just as I'd seen them before. Shadow tending her pups, the big one dozing uneasily near the flames, young ones bunched close in a far spot. My arrival made them lift their heads suddenly, yet in Shadow's gaze, something softened right away. A low rumble came from the alpha after the needle went in, though it stayed still. Firelight flickered across the walls while I settled into the old wooden seat. Choices stacked up behind me, each one silent, heavy. Traps in the woods, shadows moving at dusk, men with rifles. The flames dipped, then rose again. Out there, the rangers had to hear what I stumbled on, the hidden snare near the ridge. Word about the crew stirring again after years quiet. Yet speaking up meant tracing my steps, revealing where I got the tip right into wolf territory. That path led straight to them, opening doors to capture, labs, maybe something darker down the line. She placed her family's safety in my hands without hesitation. Trust like that deserves protection. Betraying it was never an option. Yet stopping the poachers felt just as urgent. Still, letting them go on didn't sit right either. It hit me while observing the alpha rest, air uneven in his lungs, one wounded limb jerking under imagined skies. Traps? I'd track each one down. Every last trap. Then smash it into pieces. Only on the third day could the alpha stay upright without falling. By then, shots had been given, cuts cleaned, any hint of sickness watched for closely. The young ones began to relax around me, bit by bit taking food at first, then letting me stroke their foreheads without pulling away. It started on day 1. Shadow stared, unblinking. Those golden brown eyes caught every twitch I made. By the second morning, the weight of his gaze pressed like a hand between my shoulders. On the third evening, he still watched quiet, knowing, never looking away. Before sunrise on day 4, my boots hit the trail under a heavy load, tools rattling inside the pack. From the ravine where the alpha had been spotted, I moved in slow lanes across the land. Snow that looked trampled caught my eye. So did red drops frozen into white sheets. Shiny things hiding beneath ice sometimes turned out to be traps waiting. Each clue led farther from the start point. 100 yards past where they'd snared the alpha, I came across the first trap. It wasn't sprung luckily but primed tight. A quick jab with a stick set it off. The teeth clamped down hard, loud enough to echo, strong enough to crush something living. After that, I smashed the works with bolt cutters. The twisted metal stayed behind, half buried in snow, just lying there. A mile up the trail, the next snare waited. Nothing inside again. Broken once more. Footprints faded as twilight came, yet 7 snares lay broken behind me. Locations blinked on my screen like quiet warnings saved for someone else. Each ruined device gave up a picture proof tucked into files meant for ranger eyes only. Yet the 8th snare stopped me dead in my tracks. It was occupied. A whimper came first, then the shape of him, a young wolf, perhaps 2 years gone. Steel teeth bit into his front leg, locked tight. Alive, yes, though only just. Cold had seeped deep, slowing everything. His gaze floated, clouded by hurt and too much stillness. Time had stacked up here, silent, likely days. "Easy," I breathed, approaching slowly. "Easy, I'm here to help." That pup could not even snarl. Just stared while I pried the metal jaws apart, while cloth bound what was broken, while thin ribs rose against my chest. Frozen breath dragged between his lips, yet he barely noticed the arms lifting him forward. Each step sank into white silence as strength slipped past recall. Home is where I took him. Right off, Shadow didn't trust the stranger I brought inside. She moved fast, planting herself in front of her pups like a wall. Her lips curled back, showing every tooth. A low snarl crawled out of her chest, filling the space without stopping. He raised his muzzle, slow. God, the alpha, the one called first, caught wind in his nose. A noise came out, sharp, wrong, nothing like any wolf had ever made. Recognition. A soft whimper came from the pup held close, yet the older one rose slowly, favoring a sore leg as he moved toward them. His muzzle touched the youngster's fur, quiet and careful. Pack. This belonged to one of them. Could be someone from Shadow's first group still alive. Perhaps a far-off kin, possibly only a wolf that once traveled alongside before hunters arrived. It didn't matter. He was family. Folks at home stayed right there too. Fireside warmth cradled the pup as I started tending, wiping cuts, giving medicine, bracing the broken leg with sticks and tape pulled tight. Through it all, Shadow stood near, eyes fixed, posture losing its edge moment by moment. Then, without warning, she stepped forward, touched his cheek with her tongue, letting the stranger belong. 8 wolves were inside my cabin that night. Fresh little ones. Each dawn brings more strength. Their tiny bodies push forward, fueled by quiet determination. Morning light catches their movements slightly steadier now. Each breath deeper than the last, shaping resilience without fanfare. 2 yearlings, finally brave enough to play fight by the hearth. A figure once sharp at the edges, now softened by time. Progress comes in quiet steps, not leaps. Recovery shows itself in small shifts, day after day. Fear she stood, a mother through every storm. Devotion carved in each quiet act. A boy, just barely holding on, his grip tight like mine used to be when everything felt heavy. There he sat, tucked into the corner on a frayed old chair, a person shaped by 5 long years of thinking there was no more to offer. Not one piece remained, so he believed. There they lay, breathing slow, this family I never thought could exist. A sharp break inside me, like ice giving way after years of stillness. Half a lifetime locked tight, now splitting wide. The young wolf survived the night. And the next. Friday came, then he chewed real meals, gaze sharp, pupils wide with notice. Morning by morning, that old flicker returned, breakfast near, the tip of his tail twitched, barely, but there. Though the alpha limped now, Each step grew stronger under moonlight. His fur matted at first, yet time pulled it smooth again. Healing came slow, not swift stitches faded into scars without protest. Running felt distant, a memory carried on wind. Walking returned first, steady through frost and thaw. Hunting followed, quiet moves beneath tree shadows. Protection never left. It shifted shape, settled deeper. The pack watched him, then looked away, knowing he remained theirs. Eyes just cracked open, sky blue for now, bound to shift toward warm shades later. Little bodies bumped and rolled, clumsy in motion yet bold in reach, testing corners of their safe little corner of dirt and shadow. Down by the doorway, the young ones pounced on that scrap of carpet like it was theirs alone. They rolled through hours tossing each other around, pretending to stalk unseen prey, each tumble a quiet rehearsal for what lies ahead. Inside those walls, quiet took hold. The space felt heavier now. A place once mine slipped into something else entirely. Later on, without noticing, I found myself moving with the group. Out of nowhere, Shadow appeared by my chair that morning, just 2 weeks since she first clawed at the doorway. Her golden eyes fixed on me without blinking. After a pause that felt heavy, she pivoted slowly and headed toward the exit. Up rose the alpha, shifting carefully onto the hurt leg. That one worked. Pacing by the entrance, the young dogs waited, their tails slicing air, full of want. A slight wobble ran through him, yet the boy stood anyway. He did not sit back down. Footsteps neared the door. Out came their bags, packed tight. A punch of truth knocked the air out of me. Naturally, they'd been prepared, wild at their core, never tamed. That small wooden structure offered cover, nothing more. What waited outside pulled them forward, old borders to trace, others to gather. Yet the pain sharp, sudden cut deep. Out stepped the wolves into the white hush, alpha leading, one leg dragging yet head high. Behind followed the younger ones, slow, cautious. Next emerged the adolescent male, quiet, eyes wide. Last of all appeared Shadow, trailed by her trio of wobbling pups, paws sinking, noses twitching at cold they'd never known. At the rim of the open patch, they stopped. For a moment, I believed that would be the last. Believed they'd vanish among the branches, gone without trace. Back then, Shadow changed direction. Across the snowy open space, her eyes met mine. This one had stepped in before twice already. He'd pulled her partner from danger. Her kids too. Even someone unknown, caught in trouble. Standing there, quiet, he just did what was needed. Her head tipped up, then came a howl, sharp and sudden. Away in the peaks, the noise rang out clean, untamed, a kind of sad grace. Not long after, he stood beside her, taking up the call. Following them, the young ones lifted their heads. Even the smallest cubs added their shaky sounds, thin and trying. There, framed by the door, it hit me. Understanding arrived like a slow tide. This wasn't goodbye. This moment felt like gratitude. Gratitude came through quiet presence instead of words. What mattered stood clear without needing explanation. This one sticks around in the mind. It doesn't fade fast. This belongs to you now, just as much as it does to anyone else. Off in the distance, the wolves slipped between tree trunks, shadows folding into shadow. Their forms faded without a sound. I stayed rooted where I was, minutes passing slow. The quiet around me didn't press down anymore. It just existed, light, almost kind. Frozen in place, I stared across the room at what remained the marks along the doorframe. The rug darkened with dried blood, the torn bedding heavy with the musk of fur. That silence pressed close, full of absence. A trace of living appeared in a place that once knew nothing but being. Life showed itself where mere survival had ruled before. Something linked what had stayed apart all along. A hint faint, but there that repair might still be possible. Not too far gone. A crack of light where none had shone before. Could it be? Something inside shifting, ever so slightly. Perhaps change waits in silence. Redemption quietly knocking. That night, sleep came clean, no shadows, no fear. 5 years of restless dark finally broke apart. Then came morning. There by the door, marks in the frost-clawed circles pressed deep one after another, leading off into trees. Something had passed during sleep. Not hunting. Just watching. A line of steps circling close, then vanishing uphill. My breath caught. Presence without sound. The air felt different now. Shared. 5 years hidden among the peaks. Just me and the quiet. Running never felt like running here, more like settling into stone. The trees watched without questions. Cold mornings taught what silence really means. Not a soul knew my name by choice. Snow-covered tracks better than any lie ever could. Someone else had tracked me down. Rangers didn't free me. Kind strangers failed too. Even echoes of the past stayed locked away. A wolf did it 5 years gone, yet it recalled a gentle act, repaid beyond measure. 43 extra snares came apart during the next stretch of days. One after another, they snapped underfoot or twisted loose when touched. Handed everything to the rangers soon after, they started digging into it deeply. Fewer than 2 months passed before 3 hunters caught breaking rules found themselves taken into custody. Their setup fell apart quickly once authorities stepped in. Gear they relied on was seized without delay. On clear nights, when the moon hung whole above the trees, a chorus would rise, far off wolves calling out under the sky, linking voices across silence, reaching toward me without knowing my name. Out on the porch, I paused to hear what was there. At times, though not every time, I answered with a howl of my own. From the crowd of voices, shadows would cut through, sharp, familiar, impossible to miss. Still remembering. Still grateful. Still family. Far off, those wolves stayed after that one sighting. No closer look came my way, none needed. Out beyond the trees, they kept moving, doing what they do best, staying free in a world built for them. On especially bitter evenings, something would turn up at my door, sometimes a chunk of venison, damp with heat. Other times, a rabbit, snapped neck and tidy paws. And then that one morning, my own glove, the left hand missing its fingers, resting where frost hadn't touched. Out of folks who remembered. A bunch that held on tight. Folks stuck together, watching each other's backs without needing to be asked. Out here among the peaks again. The little wooden cabin holds me once more. Yet this time, there's no pulling back. Back at talking with rangers lately, lending a hand on animal matters. Learning once more how it feels to step in, when stepping in changes things. Believing again in what my hands know, even if my mind hesitates. Quiet moments where instinct speaks louder than doubt ever could. Began thinking a single error can't shape an entire existence. That redemption is possible. It happens now, and then what we hold onto finds a way to return the favor. Not always expected, yet there it is, turning care into shelter. These days I make sure my medical supplies are always full. Fire stays lit, no matter what. The door? It remains open, just in case someone needs to come inside quickly. Just in case. Should some lost soul show up one night, searching for a person who knows wild hearts matter most. If Shadow returns someday, far down the line, carrying some fresh challenge to work through, I'll be ready. Folks stick together like that for a reason. What holds them is how they move as one, without needing to say it out loud. We show up. We help. We remember. When winter grips the peaks, with gusts shrieking past jagged rock and frosty light spearing down from above, I settle into my seat near glowing embers, catching the wild chorus of wolves echoing across the dark. And I smile. Now there's someone beside me. They aren't either.